Good morning, pals, or hello, whenever you're watching this. If I sound extra nasally, it's because I have COVID. Also, I've been MIA. I know, you might be like, who even has COVID these days anymore? Me, I do. But I've been fine. I've just been quarantining. And my symptoms are honestly pretty mild, just like a regular cold, thank God. It's not my first rodeo. We've been here before, so I knew what to expect. But yeah, that's really what I've been doing, is just a whole lot of nothing. I watched the entire season 2 of The Bear, which was great. I thoroughly enjoyed myself and that show. It's like being inside a pressure cooker, but like less so than season 1, in my opinion. And I've been trying to read, although today's the first day where I'm like, okay, I actually can read, because the first 2 days of the COVID, I simply could not. So I just watched stuff on my computer. I caught up on all of my tubes and I watched The Bear, like I said. But I have been reading still Adrienne Rich, What Is Found There, a notebook on poetry and politics, and I've been really enjoying it so far, like halfway through. Excuse me, but I don't have the brain capacity to really review this right now. I just wanted to show it to you because that's my reading material. What else has been going on? Well, pre-COVID, I went to see Past Lives, which was nice. It was actually really cute because I went by myself, took myself on a little date, and so did the gal sitting next to me, and we both looked at each other and were like, and it was super cute, although she did cry and I did not. So yeah, I don't know what that tells you about either one of us, but I did that. Any other particularly noteworthy things that I've been doing? Not really, just working a lot, and that's where I got COVID. And yeah, I'm gonna, like I said, do some reading today because my brain is finally up to it, and hopefully I'll have the vocabulary to speak about Adrienne Rich. Oh, I also got a few arcs at work as well that I'll show you in a bit. They're up there. I could show you right now, but I'm too lazy. So this is just an introductory hello, and yeah. Hello, it is the next day, and we're still doing a whole lot of nothing. I don't know what strain I have, but it's doing a number on your girl. Like, I am feeling it. But yeah, I'm just quarantining, and lucky enough that my lovely caretaker / mother has been really lovely and feeding me and keeping me alive. I'm just being so dramatic. I'm honestly more or less fine, but it's just a bummer to have COVID and also to be sick in the summer, which is something I don't think I've experienced before or in recent memory. But anyway, all of this to say, I did actually manage to finish What Was Found Here. I hope that's the name of the book. Jeez, I'm like, my brain is so foggy. Anyway, it was beautiful. I want to sit with it a little bit more and maybe write and be more intentional about how I'm going to talk about it. So that will be coming up when I'm not in my COVID haze. Yeah, that was wonderful. And then I felt the urge to start something else. So for the first little bit, I honestly couldn't read anything, but I was able to read some yesterday and earlier today. So I am starting Making Love with the Land by the beautiful Joshua Whitehead. I am such a fan of his work. He is just such a beautiful person. Not that I've met him, but I wish. Anyway, I am really enjoying this, and I will come back to you with cohesive thoughts again when I'm not in this mood. But yeah, it's actually been such a lovely companion these past couple hours, and I can't wait to talk about it. I got this sent to me by Penguin Random House Canada, so thank you so much. Actually, almost a year ago, which is crazy, but perfect time to have this be the words and the things that I'm thinking about while I'm just sitting in bed for hours on end. So yeah, that's my reading material. Just wanted to update you. I guess this is going to be like a COVID vlog. Did not really see that coming, but here we are. I'm drinking my third cup of tea of the day.
just like chugging water and just liquids in general, which is good. And I'm trying to rest and nap and whatnot because I have a lot of fatigue. But anyway, yeah, that's my little update. I got a new phone, which I can't say that I love because it just like emphasizes things that I'm like, why do you need to see my skin texture? Like, it's good to have like a healthy distance and for it to be a little bit blurry. But anyway, yeah, I did get a new phone, so if you notice that you can see my pores, that's why. Anyway, clock back in here tomorrow, hopefully feeling a little bit better, but glad that I have this to pass the time with. Have finally recovered. Quarantine is over. I went outside the past 2 days. I've literally just been outside. I went on a lovely bike ride. I went and got a little sweet treat from my favorite cafe. And yeah, I feel like a human again. But I have my support animal here to thank for getting me through my week of isolation because he was such a champ. And I feel like I probably gave my cat COVID. So he's a survivor also. Anyway, I am still reading Making Love with the Land, really enjoying myself with it. Today I have work. So we're back in business. I think after work I will go through what I've read recently because I don't think I've talked about A Single Man and I really want to talk about it because that was such a great read. I honestly wish I could just rewind and experience that book anew. But anyway, yeah, so that's what's been going on. I'm rewatching The Bear. So I watched season 2 alone and I forced once I was testing negative and like done my isolation, I forced my parents to watch season 1 and we literally ripped through it. Like we did a movie marathon. I think we watched like 4 episodes last night so I could catch them up to season 2. And I am not mad one bit about watching season 2 in such close proximity to having finished it, but I feel like I rushed through it and I didn't really savor it, which seems to be a theme because I feel that way a lot with books as well. So yeah, I am so stoked to start season 2 tonight after work. And yeah, so probably not going to do any reading today, but I will discuss what I've been reading lately because my brain is now back on. She's working, she's ready to hopefully pump out something that's going to be worthwhile for you. But yeah, your girl's back. We're feeling good. Thank goodness. We are back in the COVID room, except not isolating. In fact, we've left these walls many times now. I've entered back into civilization and it feels oh so good. And finally, we can catch up on what I've been reading lately. I've been showing you, but I haven't really spoken about anything in a lot of depth at all, really. So
that's what we're gonna do today. Before that though, I wanted to share a few arcs that I got from work, as well as a delightful package from Random House, and that is The Guest by Emma Cline. I have heard a lot of buzz around this book, and I feel so lucky to have received a copy, and just really looking forward to diving on into this guy, hopefully tonight. And I also got a tote bag, which is incredible. Can't wait to put this baby to good use. She's oh so cute. So yeah, thank you so much. That was honestly such a sweet treat to receive in the mail. As for the arcs, both of these guys I got through the bookstore. The first one being A Leopard Skin Hat by Anne Sayre. I have heard of this author. In fact, we have a book of hers called The Beginnings, I believe, that I sell quite often, and I've been intrigued by her work. I just haven't gotten around to reading it, and when I saw this, I was like, perfect. I'm gonna take her home with me. And I'll read you the little blurb here, but it says, A Leopard Skin Hat is the story of an intense friendship between the narrator and his close childhood friend, Fanny, who suffers from profound psychological disorders. A series of short scenes paints the portrait of a strong-willed and tormented young woman battling many demons, and of the narrator's loving and anguished attachment to her. Anne Sayre poignantly depicts the bewildering back and forth between hope and despair involved in such a relationship, while playfully calling into question the very form of the novel. Doesn't that sound good? I'm really excited to read this, and I love a tiny, translated from the French, I believe. So yeah, that was my first arc. And then as I was looking through, I nearly choked when I saw this, and that is my work by Olga Ravin, and she was the author of The Employees, a book that I adored last year, and talked in quite a bit of depth, so I won't bore you right now. But yeah, I'm such a huge fan of her work, so when I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So I'll read you the little back of this one. Anna is utterly lost. Still in shock, and after the birth of her son, she moves to snowbound Stockholm with her newborn and boyfriend. Tension soon opens between the couple. Lonely and isolated, Anna reads too many internet articles and shops for clothes she cannot afford to avoid sinking deeper into her depression. She must read and write herself back into her proper place in the world. My work is a fervent, intimate, and compulsive examination of the relationship between motherhood, writing, and everyday life, in a mesmerizing and propulsive blend of prose, poetry, journal entries, and letters. Olga Ravin probes the pain, postpartum depression, housework, shopping, mundanity, and anxiety of motherhood, all the while celebrating the unbounded that comes from the love in a parent and child relationship, and the rediscovering of oneself through art. Like, yes, 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 and yes. I am so excited to read this. I'm gonna save this for a rainy day. I think I'm in for a really big treat. So yeah, like I said, nearly died when I saw this. So yeah, those are recent acquisitions. Actually, that's a lie. I was gonna say impulsive, but I've been thinking about this book for a while, and I just got the nudge that I needed from Jalen, because I was listening to his lovely podcast on my way to work this morning, and he interviews Lauren Euler, the author of Fake Accounts, a book that I loved about mating by Norman Rush. And I mean, I was literally like 20 minutes in, and I was like, as soon as I'm at work, I am ordering that bad boy, and I'm taking that with me. And again, I'm saving that one for a rainy day, because I think it's going to be an incredible reading experience. So consider me influenced, Jalen. We can blame him for that book purchase. Anyways, as for what I've been actually reading, I'm going to start with A Single Man by Christopher Isherwood. So this guy came highly recommended to me by the lovely Alex. In fact, they're the ones that encouraged me to get this when I was in New York. Pato also read and adored this, and I'm adding my name to that list. I went into it not knowing very much, but just the cinematic nature of how the story is told and how crisp everything felt. And there's certain books where I could just very clearly visualize it all in my head, and specific scenes. I think that's how I would describe it. I think it's written in like scenes for you to truly be able to very easily paint a picture and set the tone for what you're about to read, or what you're reading rather. so effectively. There's a specific scene in the book where two characters are in the water. I don't think I've read anything like that. I mean, it just like, oof, took me in like a tidal wave myself. Like, it was just so beautifully done, incredibly striking. The tone or the voice of the narrator is just so witty and smart, and just also very subtle in terms of like some of his observations. Anyways, I just adored the whole thing. It takes place in the span of one day, and we exist inside the psyche of this gay professor he's British, but he's living in California in the 60s. His partner has just passed away, so he's sort of dealing with this grief and kind of existing in this world that he feels doesn't really understand the entirety of who he is, but rather the mask that he presents and very intentionally and very meticulously puts on every morning. So it sort of was resonant to a lot of soci stuff that I read in my undergrad. So that was really interesting, like the presentation of self, Goffman, and all that stuff. So anyways, it was super interesting for that reason. And just, I don't know, I just really enjoyed reading this. Highly encourage you to pick it up. It's a tiny, read it in one go to really get the full Isherwood experience. Adored it. Thank you, Alex. This is all you. Then I read What Is Found Here by Adrienne Rich, Notebooks on Poetry and Politics. This was in conversation, or not conversation, but rather prompted by my reading of Sister Outsider by Audre Lorde, because Lorde cites Adrienne Rich often as they are contemporaries, they were friends, and they were both existing in the same sort of cultural landscape. It was a great reading experience. It's only solidifying my appreciation for poetry and how important it is for us and the central place that poetry plays in our lives, and how we tend to dismiss it or cast the genre of poetry in this kind of maybe lesser field is not the appropriate way of vocalizing that, but just recentering poetry in a way that's more representative of its importance in our lives. I just loved this. It was so thought-provoking. It was so sincere. The message was very clear. She brings in the voices of other poets as well as thinkers of this time, and like Audre Lorde. And yeah, I just, again, underlined a bunch, read some really, really strong, beautiful poetry, and made me really excited to have found another author that I'm really inspired by, and just had a lot to mull over and think about, and it led to really lovely discussions with people in my actual life. So yeah, I love Adrienne Rich. I always get so giddy when I find a new author that I love, or that I find really inspiring, or that teaches me something new, and Adrienne certainly just rose up to on that list, because yeah, I just was really blown away by her contribution to my summer, honestly, and the things that I was thinking about, and what she was kind of asking of the reader to consider and contemplate, especially somebody who has never really been exposed to poetry nor given it much thought, to be honest with you, until now. So thank you, Miss Rich. You're doing good work. So highly recommend it. And then the last book, I actually just finished this, is Making Love with the Land by Joshua Whitehead, who is a Two-Spirit Indigenous author whose work I deeply admire, and I just love him. And this was no exception. There is something so sincere and so incredibly personal about the way that he just drenches the page with everything he's got. And although this was a essay collection about his own biography, he manages to talk about really harrowing and really painful topics like eating disorders, or Canada's settler colonial history and genocide and whatever it might be. But he just does it in a way that's so like caring and so sincere, in a way where like the words that he uses are so poetic and so beautiful that it's unlike anything I've really ever read before, in terms of the specific very particular way that he chooses to express moments of pain or even like moments of happiness in such a like beautiful melodic kind of way. A really like considered and thoughtful text that weaves together specific words or imagery that you would never really think about or try and use in that specific setting or whatever it is that he's trying to convey, but he just does it so beautifully, and that's what makes his writing and his voice so distinct and so beautiful to me. And yeah, this was just a really beautiful reading experience, and I just really honor and value anybody putting themselves out there in such a raw way, but especially him and his stories. That I'm just really thankful that we have people such as himself sharing and adding so much value to the world and the literary community. And yeah, I just loved it. I absolutely loved it. I'm a huge fan of his. I believe that the audiobook is narrated by him, and I'm not an audiobook girly, but I do find his just presence so beautiful. I actually was introduced to him because I think I've shared this story before, but there's a bookstore in Montreal called St. Henri Books that I loved. I fell in love with them in like 2019 when I went with my mom. And during the pandemic, they would host every couple weeks different authors and do like an Instagram live. I did not miss a single one of those like author interviews. And one of them was with Joshua Whitehead, and I was just like completely smitten. Like by the end of the hour, I was like, I love him. I wish this man was like my friend. So ever since then, I've just been following his work and anything that he does. So I was really excited when Random House sent this to me literally last year, like I said, when I was in my like COVID haze. But anyways, that is all I have for you today. Thank you for coming along on these like 2 strange weeks of COVID. Be careful out there. Take care of yourselves. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you've read any of these guys. And yeah, we'll see each other soon. Bye.